Maritime Museum at BC last year. Horticultural Center in Pacific last year. I'm going to skip over the Haliburton Farm for now. Greater Victoria Visitors and Bureaus Tourism YYG, that would be the new amount of $24,000. Then the Greater Victoria Bike to Work Society last year. Greater Victoria Volunteer Society last year. I'm going to skip over GVDA. Gower House Society last year. Georgetown Community Association last year. Crisis Intervention of Public Interest Society of Greater Victoria last year. Community Social Planning Council of Greater Victoria last year. City of Victoria Canada Day last year, and Cedar Hill Golf Club Ladies Division last year. So that should give us a total.
Can we get that total?
Paul, did you get that to us?
The total so far is
Just the total on that section.
503,523. It was $503,523, leaving $54,728.
All right, so so what we have in that list left is we have the one-time Haliburton Farm, which I think taking Councillor Bryce's lead before, I'm going to do those all at once. And so that leaves us with the Greater Victoria Development Agency. So I'm inclined, based on my experience with YYG and Prosperity that's come forth, not to include this. Councillor Hayes, do you have any?
Transition.
The Greater Victoria Development Agency.
Right.
Can you give us any clarification on that grant request?
It's the transition.
So then we have to put the grant through.
That grant is already assigned. That is an inflexible piece of this grant.
Okay. So I guess for my own identification, why is it in this list?
Mr. Mayor, we would not put it in this list next year. That's an oversight in transitioning, and we should have pulled it.
Okay, so it's just that it was a mistake.
Let's say it's a mistake.
Yeah, no big deal. Yeah, no big deal. We'll just cross it out.
Can I ask a question here?
Councilor Worthing, go ahead.
Going back to Haliburton Farms, I guess, not I guess, I was here when the whole thing started. And there was an amazing plan set out. I believe they had people from California doing something quite similar. And we were told at the time how it was going to be self-sustaining. And yet, for some reason, every year they do come back. And I guess the question I do ask, do we want to live with the fact that they will be back every year, dependent on council, or do we want to make any sort of statement to them?
Councilor Branoff, and then Durban.
We got a lot of partners out there that we can help too.
But this is an organization managing a piece of our land and being a demonstration farm for others in Saanich. The request this year is actually for maintenance on the building so that they can provide a safe environment for education.
At what point, I guess I ask, we throw the word sustainability out there. At what point does an organization like this become sustainable? Or do we just or do we expect it? I guess from my point, from the origins, I would expect that over time it would become self-supportive. But I haven't seen it.
I suppose that's something, I mean, we did hear about quite a lot about the financial success of the farm. Maybe you're asking, why are some of those profits being rolled into this maintenance? We seem to be supporting this building much in the same way we support Gower House, right? So, definitely something to think about for next year, maybe something to think about now if that's council's choice. Councilor Brown, if you had your hand up.
Oh, I already spoken up. I'll just say that when we come back to look at Haliburton, although I understand what Councillor Bryce was saying about using surplus, then I understand what Councillor Murdoch said and our staff. It doesn't, we gave them roughly 5,000 last year, so this is another 7,000, and we've already got 54,000 savings. So I believe that this 12,000 could actually go into this grant, being funded through this process as opposed to surplus.
If that's a motion, I'll second
Well,
that.
let's just get agreement that we think that's, let's not get emotions.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, the direction she's giving.
Yeah.
I think I'm not in agreement.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you. So next on the speakers list, I've got Councillor Gerber, Councillor Haynes, and then Councillor Sanders.
Yeah, I would agree with what Councillor Brown has put forward. This is, in many ways, I'd argue that the farm is sustainable, that they are providing a great deal of service and education and so forth at almost no cost to us. But it is something we own, and the house we own. And are we expecting them to fundamentally maintain all of the capital needs and maintenance needs of the house? They do some of them. But are we expecting them to put on a new roof for us and things of that nature? I think that's something that we're going to have to come to grips with. The same thing with Cover does, where they are providing a great service. Are we expecting them to do all the maintenance and all the capital costs of the house as well?
Thank you, Councillor. Councillor Haynes?
Whilst I understand Councillor Worthing's point of view about the idea of sustainability, I think in this case that we've heard, Halliburton Farms is a unique piece of property. I don't think it was ever given the ability in its books or the direction to be sustainable. That is a thing to be looked at, perhaps in the go-forward position. But this resource is, in actual fact, in the agricultural community, considered a treasure for Saanich. As we march forward with our task force on local food and food security, this is the centre that will help us provide the educated young farmers and to upgrade the skills of our other existing farmers to help us achieve the outcomes of that task force. This is a maintenance piece. I don't know how they're going to maintain their property without our support. I do think, though, as we move forward, it will be interesting to see the books and have a better look at how allocations of resources are going and what it would take to get them into a positive cash flow position and come to that moment of realization. Is it a reasonable thing to expect it to be sustainable? At this point, without that information, I don't think it is. That said, I think the value they deliver far exceeds the amount of this grant.
Thank you. Councillor Sanders?
Yes, I'll just echo what everybody else has said. I think this is our facility, and it's a small ask. And as far as being sustainable, I think they give a lot back. On Sunday, they had a program there that they pulled together. People from the other program went, and they gave training on the native plants and such. So that was at no cost. And so they are giving back and such. So I think it, and the same as the Maricopa Centre Pacific, it's again our properties and what we receive back, and it's all about educating our up-and-coming farmers and such, the growth that we're talking about.
Councillor Worthing again?
And just one last word on it. We have a lot of groups in our community in Saanich that give a lot back, but they balance their budget. And I guess that's where I'm coming from. I rest my case.
Okay, last word from LW. All right, so let's address the one-time grants then. So let's go back to Halliburton Community Organic Farm Society. That's for $12,000. That's council's.
We're going to assume it, I think, in this year's budget, we decided. Yeah.
Okay, so that's going to be included. So staff make note of that. Let's go into the not previously funded category. And let's look at the Tillicum Community School 100th anniversary for $3,000.
Relatively small amount, but we're only at risk for the next 100 years for one more active.
Yeah, that's right.
Yes, exactly. Second 100 year. So I mean, if it's going to become a problem to kind of pull it back out of already allocated funding, it may not be worth it, but it is definitely a one-time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so staff making note of that's been included. Next on the list is, sorry, Councilor Haynes, you want to add something?
So, just for clarification, so that goes into this year's allocation because of what it's sold.
Next on the list is the Fortress Foundation for $10,000.
And the material that was presented to us, I wasn't feeling that it was something that I could comfortably support.
I'll talk briefly to that. This particular group is eligible for a wide range of grants outside of Sandwich. So compared to some of these groups which are not eligible for grants outside of Sandwich, I think they're robust enough that whilst this grant would be nice for them, it's not a stop-go decision for them. So on that basis, I would support this.
Question on our running total.
There's one more on the list here. It's the Capital Region Refugee Sponsorship Group for $5,000. Councillor Wordman.
Yeah, if I could just comment on it, I'm co-chairing a group that's sponsoring a refugee family, and we would love 5,000, but I think coming back to the program, I think there are churches and groups out there that are getting behind it, and I don't think we should get involved in it as a municipality. I think we've offered our parks and rec amenities there, and I think we should stay with that.
All right. Councillor Sanders? Okay. So I think we've got some consensus here. I'm seeing some nodding of heads, so we'll axe that one out. So it looks like we're going to add $15,000 to the 503. That's going to take us to about 518, 528. Can you confirm that for us, Paul?
The numbers right, sorry, 518, 573.
518, 523 is what I heard. Okay.
With 39,728.
Does that include the GBDA number?
That includes the GBA.
So,
Okay. So I guess we're down. So just looking at the rest of the agenda, we've got the next category is neighborhood match grants. Category of that is community sustainability grants. So I think we'll do a motion for each of those sections of the agenda. I think that would work best. So now we need to go through the not previously funded section. So Victoria Brain Injury Society, 3285. Councillor Durham.
well, that's one of the kind I'd be very cautious of. I'm sure they do great work, but as I said, there are any number of those kinds of societies out there that you run the risk of the open door.
Okay, so consensus there. So we'll leave that one out. Moms Like Us for 1650.
I'll talk to them if I may. They are a group of Sandwich members. They are looking for other grants, but it's very bleak out there right now for them to find that granting. On the Victoria Brain Injury Society, there are several baskets of grant opportunities outside of Sandwich. So when I apply that focus, Mums Like Us do not have that opportunity. So I ask my colleagues to reconsider that, keep Mums Like Us in on a one-year basis.
I would agree with Councillor Hughes.
I'd also like to advocate on their behalf, based on where they are after a year and in the startup position that they find themselves trying to get off the ground with an issue here that has come to, they presented, before they presented to council, they presented to the police board a while back, and they have great challenges, and there's a great need in society for service like this in our region where it's being handled elsewhere. But I could support it as well.
So good.
Can I make one more observation?
Yeah.
As we go forward, one of the intents of this group is to act early enough to intercept their family members who would be on a trajectory to homelessness by having social programs in place that help either bring them back into society, working and contributing, or prevent them sliding out of that path. So as a small investment, today you would have big payoffs later down the road. So that is the aim of this group, to protect their children, protect their family members from eventually becoming homeless by enabling them to have a higher success rate of integrating into society. Where this model is applied elsewhere, it's a 50% success rate. That's the Clubhouse International. When we look at other programs that only have a 14% success rate, so I think it's a worthwhile investment, and I appreciate my colleagues' support.
Thank you. So we have some consensus on that then? Okay, all right.
One time?
So we're going
One
to
time?
include this one time then. Thank you, Councillor. All right, next one. Friends of the Ashland Garrison Museum, $10,000.
I'd say no.
No.
Okay, all right. Leave that one out. Let's go down to Community Dialogue and Resolution Services, $4,500. Not seeing any support for that. Okay, we'll leave that one out. Capital Regional Food Agriculture Initiatives, $15,000.
And this is under the ongoing, so it's 15,000 every year.
This is CR Fair,
And I know.
right? Councillor Haynes, you were up at the Hall of the Sanctuary Grounds.
Yes, I attended this, and CR Fair does do a wide range of activities that are very worthwhile. I need to just refresh my memory by looking at the grant application, if I may, for the specific ask for this 15. I do know that they are going to be tasked with some new activities coming out of our task force and coming out of some requests from CRD. Just let me refresh my notes, please.
I know steps on this one is we wait till we see where the chips fall and what kind of roles they're actually going to take. That would be my suggestion.
All right, thank you, Councillor.
Maybe we can come back to it.
You found it?
I have found it. I'm happy to talk to it.
Please go ahead.
So this is about farm to farmer and the flavour trails and the Regional Farmland Trust Initiative. And what they're trying to do is embark on a program that have local farm use, the use of local farm-grown food grow from 5% to 25%. So this is investing in our ability or our belief that this region can grow its use of locally grown food. They're a very lean-run organisation. Many of them are in Saanich. Linda Getty lives in Saanich, is a neighbour of mine. I think this is a worthwhile project and it's worthy of support. And if we have funding for it, we should. I'll just read their statement here. The funds will be used between May and October to support our community food education and engagement programs. This will be primarily focused on the promotion and the organisation of the Flavour Trails program, which enables residents to go out and visit farms, and supporting our youth food action team.
Sorry, Councillor Durban, and then Wardland.
Thanks, Mr. Mayor. This sounds like the kind of initiative that we would have expected to see in the sustainability grants if we were going to. This is put in as an ongoing grant. I think it's misplaced. And I couldn't support it in here if it fit into the sustainability grants possible.
Thank you, Councillor Wardland.
It's always hard to beat up in agriculture, but I guess I just feel $15,000 at this point in time. I think we should wait, possibly look at it next year and see where they have gone, what they're doing.
All right, so I'm not seeing much support for this. All right, so let's cross that one out. Last one on the not previously funded list is the Bipolar Disorder Society of BC.
Health-related issues, which, worthy as it is, I just don't know if the municipal tax base is where it should
Okay, so we'll cross that one out. And so we'll add essentially Moms Like Us for $1,650 to our total of $518, which brings us to
Back to 0173.
520,173. All right. we still have a little ways to go, but we're not necessarily going to get all the way there. So that, I think, concludes the end of our agenda item, community social grant, service grant request, I should say. So I think,
Mr. Mayor, if I may, sorry
Yeah.
to interrupt. There is one at the bottom that is considered to be a social service grant, but it is the one based on prior year that Councillor Sanders was involved with. So I don't want that one to drop off, but it is at the very bottom of the list that's in front of you.
well, that's supposed to be in this category.
It's within this group.
I need an exercise.
Councilor Sanders, can you just declare your conflict for the record?
Oh, I want to forward the shelter.
Thank you.
Just the same one.
Same amount of last
Same amount, Councilor Worthy?
On this one here, it's a great work, and there's a couple of great churches involved in it. It's a great opportunity for volunteers and people to get involved, and I'm not sure we need to get involved in it.
Thank you. I'd like to ask a question of staff. I may have my memory wrong on this, but wasn't the development that came forward earlier in the year where the developer's contribution was directed towards the Shelburne Community Kitchen?
Yes, that was the Ian Fats development.
All right. And what was that total? It was substantial, wasn't it?
Sorry, Mr. Mayor, Ms. Tinney and I would have that information at hand.
Okay.
It was, I think it was great to see that.
I think it was greater than this amount. So my question for, I'll throw it out to council then is, and I should have done my research a little bit better before this, but it just come to mind, is what was that money to be applied for? What will this money be applied for?
I think they knew what is in the bundle, because things have changed, and it's hard to find our stuff. Was it, the budget should show us where their sources of revenue are.
It was coming to page 276.
276.
So the funds will be used for operating expenses.
Okay, so this is for OpEx, and with the amenity that was provided, would that be for some capital expense? It was a one-time?
It would be an
Okay, I'm leasing the home from a private landowner, and they're upgrading the kitchen and things like that. Okay, so is council comfortable with that? Okay, so we're going to include Shelburne Community Kitchen Society at 5,000, and so that's going to take us to 525,173, and so
Do you want to have a motion while this is like
I was just going to ask that.
Okay.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
So this is to do this separately?
We could do this one separately, and then council could cycle back to the others.
I will move that we approve a grant of $5,000 to.
Second.
Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor? Opposed? None opposed, that carries unanimously. Thank you. Vicky, back in. Thank you, Councilor Murdoch, for that suggestion.
We need to be back to that drive.
So,
All right, so now we have, I think we've gone through this list enough of this agenda, item number 3. So I think we'll be looking for a motion to approve these items as we have suggested, a total of, I think, 520,173.
I will so move.
Second?
Moved and seconded, call the question, all in favor? None opposed, that passes unanimously. Thank you. Good work, Council. All right, let's move on to item number 4. Neighborhood matched program grants, referral to special committee of the whole, on March 15. So the only one in that category, if I'm correct, is the Children's Foundation again. Council? No. Based on this previous discussion from the other items, no support? Okay, so we'll just cross that out and just move on to the next agenda item unless there are any other motions from council. Seeing none. All right, let's go to item number 5 then. 2016 sustainability grants. It's on the second page. Everyone wants to flip to that. So, any guidance? Councilor Plant.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I am not comfortable supporting the mattress recovery and the pedal powered recycling at this point. So I would remove, I'd love to hear what the other colleagues think as well, but that's the two that when I heard them, I'm not sure these are actually viable projects. These are the Kids Center for the Family, and then the community social planning. This is the pedal powered recycling, and then the mattress recovery. I'm not sure I want to provide funds from Saanich residents for those initiatives, and I'm not sure I've never happened effectively in our community, as much as they're well intentioned.
What were the two, Councilor? There was Community Social Planning Council of Greater Victoria. The other one was?
My apologies.
Courage Center?
The Courage Center, the mattress recovery.
Okay.
So those were the two that I mean, if people are looking for direction, I'll move that we accept the other sustainability grants minus the Courage Center, minus the Community Social Planning Councils.
I'd rather have a discussion.
That's fine, then I won't move it, yeah.
Okay. All right, so is there any support from members of council for those items? Councilor Newman.
Yeah, actually, I could support those items because we are looking at in the direction of sustainability. Now, if that doesn't feel good, others in council, that's fine. But the one that I really had some difficulty understanding was the one from Sierra Club to celebrate the Coast Festival. They said this is a sustainability, this section is for sustainability grants. I can't see any real connection to sustainability. I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's, building a relationship with First Nations, that's great, but it's certainly not a sustainability grant in terms of what our, I think, Mr. Boyson's department is primarily concerned with. So that one I would suggest removing it. The other ones fit, whether or not they're feasible or not, I don't know.
Councilor Brown.
Yeah, one of the ones that we funded it last year was the Fish Eye project, but that's because they were down at the beach at Jarrow. This year they're not in Saanich, so I'm not sure if we should support it. And the Women's Everyday Bicycle Association, this is about education or teaching people cycling skills. My understanding is that the Greater Victoria Cycling Coalition has all those things, and they are now talking with each other, so I'm not sure that I can support a separate grant for this organization when in actual fact they should be working together. There's more resources and more opportunity for partnerships.
Thank you. Councilor Sanders.
No, I wasn't supporting those with Girls Fisheries Trust, and this meeting is not what I was supporting.
Is it Molassie Aquarium? Yeah, all right.
We saw that when I was the first one, I saw that, it's playing around with critters in there, so I don't support it.
Any other notables in this list? Councilor Haynes.
Friends United for Nature Society. It's a camp activity. I don't think it's a good use of our taxpayers' money. We're subsidising a select group of parents that apply for that. It actually is in competition with our own Saanich Park and Recs programs. It doesn't make any sense to me. If it was something that was worthwhile and people could bring it forward for Park and Recs, that's another story. And I see when we look at the budget, there's a considerable amount in there of salaries. So we're subsidising salaries for subsidising parents in this program.
All right, thank you.
We're going to save ourselves an awful lot.
Any others, Council? Councilor Workman and then Brown.
Thank you very much. Creativity United for the Planet Society. It's just wonderful.
They do a sustainability project.
Yeah, they will.
Very much so.
Yeah, they had their show at the the road-based secondary in Calder that went on for several days is fairly well attended. Huge number of vendors, a lot of topics. It's a growing event, I think. Anyway, that's just my comment on that, for or against. Any others? Councilor Brown, if you have your hand up, sorry.
Thanks. I'm wondering if Sierra Fair could go into this category, because they're asking for dollars around education and things, and whether that could be considered as a sustainability grant.
Maybe we should go down more this now.
Yeah, that sounds like.
What we got left.
Okay, so before I go to Councilor Brest, we'll just hear from Carrie first, who has something to say.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I was just having a look at the eligibility requirements, and definitely the project must support the sustainability goals for the municipality, but there's three basic areas. So it's the climate action plan, the climate